There we go. But we are super excited to have you with us and to tell us all about this wonderful project. I know there was lots of wonderful hype on Twitter today about the Hometown History Hunt. So I'm not going to do any more talking. I'm going to turn it over to you, and then we'll have some time for questions at the end. I did send out the materials that you sent.
Awesome. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that you got those, and that was fine. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody stood that way. I'm not talking about something and everybody's thinking, what is this girl talking about? I don't know what's going on.
Absolutely. So
awesome.
We're so excited to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. My name is Allie Bramall. I am the Community Engagement Coordinator at the Kentucky Historical Society in Frankfort. And Wendy and I kind of touched base through my colleague Claire, who is leaving unfortunately next week. But I'm glad that we were able to get this put together before she leaves us to move to Wisconsin. So my big part of my role is managing the historical marker program, which I'm sure all of you know very well. I've seen it around your local communities throughout the state when you've been traveling. We've got over 2,500 markers throughout the state, at least one in each county, and we are growing every single day, adding new markers to that, but also maintaining markers that had been around since the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and on and on and on. And a big part of that program, and we're really trying to vamp it back up, is the Explore Kentucky History website and accompanying phone application. These kind of allow us, as you all have seen on the physical markers in your communities, one of the things that we face with this program when we're crafting text with sponsors that we work with in your local communities to get these markers put up is the limitations of space on historical markers. You're allowed 10 lines, 33 characters per line, and that includes spaces and punctuation. So of course you have these rich historical stories and you want to do them justice, but how can you do it in the conflicts of getting all of that within the parameters that our foundry, who fabricates the markers for us in Ohio, needs to get the markers done. So that's what's great about Explore Kentucky History. It allows us to give more of that information, tell more of that story in an accompanying way to the marker, and just say, hey, if you're interested and you want more detailed information about this subject, you can use the phone application or go to the website and get that larger story, see photographs, be connected to oral histories. And you can also see.
Okay, I'll see you. Let me know how it goes tomorrow, please.
You can also see markers in your community. Luckily, it uses GPS coordinates. So if you're at one marker and you're on the app, it pops up and say, oh, there's actually 3 others in the same vicinity. Why don't you go see those as well? And on top of that, when we have entries like that, if they are linked thematically, location-wise, county tours, those are really popular. We can connect those and kind of create either a walking tour that people can do, or in most cases, it's getting in your car and driving around. And that's honestly been really popular, especially during the pandemic, because folks not able to go anywhere were going on their walks to at least get out of their homes and get a little exercise while they were either in quarantine or just working from home, needed a little change of venue. So we got a lot of engagement with the markers through that as well. So we really want to build upon this kind of hype behind the marker program, making more of those stories accessible. Like I said, we have over 2,500 markers throughout the entire state, and we don't even have 1,000 entries in our Explore Kentucky History database. And that is something that we are working on every day to get better at. Unfortunately, my department is just me and my boss, so that's easier said than done. Day-to-day maintenance of the marker program along with other duties. Sometimes those things take the back burner. So that's why we love projects like this, because not only do we get to engage people in different communities throughout the state, which is part of our title in the community engagement team. But we also get people really excited about their local history, seeing the resources that we have at the Historical Society in Frankfort, and the ways in which folks throughout the state can access those and be a part of what we're doing in Frankfort and kind of play that part. So I think it's going to be a really great project. We've compiled a list, as you all have seen, and we kind of want you to make it what you will. And working in groups. I'm not sure how you guys have thought about breaking down the groups and things like that, but I think we have a lot of great topics that you guys can work on. It's broken down by county if you're interested in doing something in your local county or thematic. It is completely up to you guys what you guys make it. We will take any work that you guys will offer us for the website. And it's pretty straightforward for the guidelines and writing it. It's kind of like what you would think of a blog post, about 500 to 1,000 words. It's not like a dissertation or a thesis. I'm sure everybody has written a lot of those. So I'm not trying to make that more difficult for you guys. And so, we think it could be a really great collaborative effort, making sure that the story is told on the marker, giving that more detailed information. And quite honestly, the most exciting part for me is always looking at the images that you can find in collections and connecting with local people in your area, whether that's historians, university professors that are subject matter experts, local museums or historical societies, getting more of that information from them, working with them, and also making that connection that not only will help you guys with this project, but may help you in your careers as well and down the line for your students, and kind of fostering that communication and that engagement together. So I think the deadline was end of April. So
Right.
I might be
April 30th.
jumping the gun there, but I want to make sure I have the timeline in my head correctly, just because time is nothing anymore at this point. I don't even know what day it is at this point. So it's going to be a really great project. I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with. And of course, I'm going to be here to help you guys along the way. Anything that you may need, whether that is contacting your local community at historical organizations, professors at the universities, and of course, just the writing style for the blog post. You're welcome to go on our website and find that, or you can pick my brain and see I've written a lot of them. So I'm pretty well versed in conforming to those standards that we ask you guys to when writing these type of posts. And the guidelines that we sent along is also kind of what we see as a style guide. Trying to mainstream a lot of the language throughout different topics in history and Kentucky history, national, state history. So I think that'll be really helpful as well. Hopefully we try and make that as straightforward as possible in that document so folks can help us with them. It's kind of just become second nature to us at this point when working on them at work. So if you guys have any questions about that, feel free to let me know. The main thing that we try and accomplish with the marker program, but also these accompanying posts, is making sure that the writing is what we label as good history. And what we mean by that is that it's reflective of the most up-to-date scholarship on the subject. I'm sure as educators, you guys totally understand that concept, making sure that we see current interpretations, current things in the field that are being studied reflected in our work in the time that we're living in now, making sure that it is supported by verifiable historical documentation, primary sources, other scholars writing on the subject, and making sure that it is accessible to folks that may not have a knowledge of the subject. We try and write not as if we're writing a dissertation on a very dense subject. We want to make sure that the common lay person that is stopping at this marker or reading this post has no hesitation about engaging with it because they don't understand the subject matter. Making sure that anybody that has, like I said, anybody that may not have any knowledge of the subject, and that way it kind of engages them and makes them want to learn more. And that's kind of the big thing too, is giving, more information on these blog posts, but then kind of creating that, oh, well, that's interesting. I wonder what other kind of resources are available to learn either more about this or in a like subject. So kind of just keeping people coming back. That's a big thing that we want with community engagement, with what we're doing with the historical marker program, is making sure folks are staying involved. Because this program has been around since 1949. It is our most visible program that we have at the Historical Society. So I'm sure people run into it every single day. I know I do. I live in Louisville, so there are markers everywhere in Jefferson County. So I see them. I can't get away from work even when I'm not in the building. So We want to make sure that folks are engaged with it, they understand it, and if they do have questions, they can route back to us, or back to a local historical society, local professors, local historians, to ask those questions and become more engaged with their local histories and their stories. We really rely on these community members to keep these stories alive for us. We don't dictate what becomes a historical marker in the local communities that these go up in. It's an application process. We work with them to craft text, making sure that the story is told on what we want as verifiable historical information, as well as the community, because that does become a very visible part of the local communities they go in. So it's a very collaborative effort, from concept to having the marker put in the ground, and we're dedicating it, and it's up and it's there for folks to see. And so that's definitely something we want with this project as well. It's collaborative. It's not just me dictating, okay, you're going to write this and you're going to write this, and this is exactly how it wants to be. I think that you guys are going to see that you can have fun with it and kind of dig more into it and get that really rich story, and see what way that you guys want to approach telling these stories and giving more information for folks for our website. So sorry, that was a lot of information at once. I talk a lot. I probably missed something. I've never led a meeting like this. So if I missed anything, Wendy, please let me know.
Well, Allie, I think the best way for, since we do have so many teachers that are interested in this, I'm just thinking about the best way to collect this on our end. I'm thinking that if we set up a Google form, and then they can just do like a Dropbox share, because that works well for in our grant, just systematically thinking. And then you and I will both be editors to that. So you will have access to the data. I'll have access to the data. That way I can pay them, because they're getting paid for me.
Right.
And we'll know that it's collected by April 30th.
Perfect.
And then you'll have your end, to fact check, and then all of that back and forth. So what I will tell all of our teachers is you will receive a Google form link from me at the conclusion of this meeting. And it will just be like, if you're interested in participating, here's the form. And it like, for example, once you start researching your information, like if you say, like, there is a historical marker in Mount Vernon, Kentucky that my class and I are going to start investigating. We're going to start researching. Once you find all of your information, you will write your, and then all of that clarifying information is on those 2 documents that I sent from Allie. But if you have any other information or any other questions that you need answered, between Allie and I will answer those questions for you. My only question after listening to you is, what if we have 2 people from Knox County and they both choose the same, is there any way of like process of elimination on if they choose the same historical marker or the same?
I think that, if there's one, I can't remember on the list, I haven't pulled up, but if there is,
I can share that.
Okay. On that list, if say, the one marker in Knox County and 2 teachers want to do it, of course it can be a collaborative effort. They can kind of tag team writing it together, and they can both get the credit for doing so. That's not a big deal on our end. They can either, write their separate documents, put them together, and kind of, do what you would think of. I think of like grad school projects I did with partners that we would then have to kind of create it in a one voice type of thing. I think that's totally plausible. I think that's fine. Sometimes 2 brains are better than 1. So, researching and splitting that up is always an option. And I'm looking at these lists right now. Let's see. Yeah, I know that document looks very daunting, but the content on it, it's the text on each marker. And so I wanted to make sure that it was kind of just in one place. That way folks could see what the content is, the subject, and just the kind of the whereabouts. Of course, we would like to get as many entries out of this partnership as we could. But if there are 2 teachers, 3 teachers that are really passionate about doing this one marker, of course, they can do it together. That is totally fine with me, if that is fine with you. And we can kind of do a collaborative group blog post, and it can be a little bit longer. That's fine. Or one person can do the writing and somebody can do the image research. That's totally up to them as well. And I will say, with image researching and all of that, of course, you think making sure that you're not using Wikipedia for source for primary sources, because I'm sure, as you tell your students, Wikipedia is not not a source, but the image researching, that can take a little while, especially if you're looking at places like the Library of Congress or your local historical society and getting those permissions to use those images as well, for the accompanying website blog post.
Are there recommended sources, like are there places that you would say I recommend that you start here for, like, if, for example, I know in Bell County they have the Bell County Historical Society, right there, that is a great place, for information for them, for example.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's definitely helpful, at least kind of the way I approach it is I always Google it first, just to see what electronically there is out there from reputable sources, just making sure, I'm not missing anything. But I think a great way to get involved is use your local historical societies or museums, use their librarians or their curators, and reach out and make that connection to say, what sources do you recommend that I use? Of course, there are, online resources like the New History of Kentucky, the Kentucky Encyclopedia. If it's an African American subject, the African American Encyclopedia. It's very, very large, and it has a lot of great information. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of looking online, seeing what I can dig up from there, and then kind of going from there. So I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off, because that is just my research style. I think definitely utilizing your local libraries, historical societies, whatever that may be in your town, your community. I don't think that you can go wrong doing that, because nobody, I feel like, knows their local community better than the folks in that local community. Getting those recommendations and making sure. But I think definitely starting off your research, seeing online at the University of Kentucky, University of Louisville, seeing what they have on the subject, Western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, and kind of going from there, doing research from there.
And I know that some teachers may even be considering, one of the things that, Claire and I, when we were kind of spitballing this idea, some teachers there may be something on this list that's close enough for you to, walk one day, hopefully, if the weather is great enough. For you to walk with, maybe with your class, for you to get like a permission to, to take a walking trip with your students, really make it like a hands-on interactive, take your students there and say, did you know this place existed? And then allow them to be part of the research with you. So when they get hands-on and they start investigating and make this truly an inquiry project for your students as well, especially if you have older students in your class, and then when they get to have that participatory, hands-on, like, look at what we did, look what we were able to accomplish, and then when they see, hey, my name is on this, it's, Miss Smith's class, when you've got something kind of published out there, that's gonna. We always talk about, why are we doing this? Can we get work published? That authenticity. Students, that buy-in is going to be there instantly. So.
And that's a big draw. I haven't. Sorry, go ahead.
That what you posted in the chat there, is that supposed to be a live Google link, or you're muted? So
shoot, sorry, I'll post it again. That was just your I was, instead of doing screen share, I was gonna just post.
Sorry. I was trying to open it, but anyway, so
okay, sorry, I'll post it again.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Allie.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's no problem at all. I will say that is a big draw for, I have an intern, actually, she started yesterday. She's helping us with Explore Kentucky History as well. So this is a big project that we, call on multiple people to ask, but I think that's a big thing for her. She's applying for graduate school right now. She's about to graduate from Morehead State. And so I think having that publication out there with her name, she's crafting 2 new tours for us and authoring over 20 entries for those. And so I think that's a good thing for her, not only for her internship credit for Morehead State, saying, hey, this is my portfolio, I actually created this and it's out there. on the Historical Society's webpage. So I totally get that draw, because that is something that myself as an intern, I interned for the Historical Society when I was an undergrad, and I came back and I now work for them. But seeing my name working on stuff, I was in collections. So not so much the public facing part, but seeing just like things that I helped out with, that's a big draw for students for sure. So I think that's going to be a really exciting part of collaborating with you guys for sure. Catherine said the list is what we choose from. That is correct. Yes. That's the list we kind of compiled, my boss and I, entries that we think definitely need posts for the website. So that would be very helpful if you guys could go off that list. Okay. Yeah, I see where you pulled the example from the Knox County, because there is only one on Knox County on that list. And I'm also going to put in a link right now to the chat. This is our what we call our static database. It is the database of every single marker that we have in our program. You can search by county, by keyword, subject, or by marker number, which on historical markers, if you're looking at the physical marker, it is in the bottom right corner. That's its unique identifying number as it is in our program. And not only, if you needed to use it for this project, but you guys can use this for perhaps other things, in your classrooms, for other projects you may undertake yourself. It's pretty easy to navigate. So I wanted to make sure I shared that with you guys as well. And Jenny asked, can we choose from other counties instead of where we live? Absolutely. That it's not limited to where you all live. I just know some folks may be interested in doing ones from their local areas. That list, I don't remember how many counties are on it, but it is counties from all over the state. So you guys are welcome to write whatever may tickle your fancy. You're not limited to the county that you call home.
Absolutely.
But of course, if you are welcome to do that. I know, county pride goes a long way. So.
Allie, and then also, I don't know if you had planned on mentioning this, but I don't know how, I'm sure most of us all have smartphones, but the KY History app.
Yes.
If you will mention that, I know I've been playing around with that at home today, as well. And I know that, all of our students, most of our students probably have better phones than we do.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes, right?
I know my children have better phones than I do. But that may be a really great way to start if you're planning on introducing this with your students, or even after the fact. One of the things that keep getting brought up again and again, just with our teacher groups, is, our new social studies standards has the introduction of Kentucky standards embedded throughout.
Right.
This is a perfect way to really introduce those Kentucky standards, regardless of the grade level. If you're kindergarten or if you're 12th grade, this is a perfect way to really enhance, to intertwine, to integrate those Kentucky standards. And if you look at that, and Allie, I'm sure, can do a much better job than what I can do in my 2 minutes that I've been playing with this today. But that app, if you've not downloaded it yet, I suggest you download it. It is wonderful. I'm just enough of a history nerd that I get on my children's nerves, regardless of where we're at in the state, because it is really something that wherever you're at, and if you're not familiar with the settings or what's around you, it's one of those that you can say, hey, what's near me? What historical is near me? And that's what you all will be helping with. So Allie, if you'll kind of clarify on that as well.
Yeah, and I shared the link in the box. That is to the web page portion, but if you scroll to the bottom, you will see the option to either download for Apple products or Google. But yeah, so if you have it pulled up on your phone when you have it, so for example, I'm currently in Louisville. So the main page of this is showing these markers are within 4 miles of me. So it's a really great way when you're on the go. And like you said, you're in these local communities, you're wondering, hey, what's around here? Or you're stopped at a house museum in Russellville and you're saying, I wonder what other historical sites are around here. You can pull this up and see markers and see those stories. So the stories that are being written within this project are not only on the webpage, but it will automatically translate to this app, which is really great, making it accessible for anybody that has the app on their phone. And then, it's got the map function, and I mean, it's huge. Like this is just showing all the markers that have entries throughout the entire state. It's got its GPS dot. So, and then you
So
can
if
see.
you can't tell why I've geeked out over this day, this is
Yeah.
why.
Right. And again, that's a big reason during COVID that there was such attention put on the markers, because folks were going on our website kind of saying what things there were to do, what programs that you could do maybe with your kids at home, and getting rerouted to this on our page. And so they were able to go and see, a couple markers at a time. And Catherine, this is the Explore Kentucky History phone app. And when I talk about Explore KY History, I'm sorry if it's confusing. It's both the app and the web page. They're the same thing, but one is just on the go on your cell phone. And so again, if you go to that link I shared in the chat box, explorekyhistory.ky.gov, and scroll down to the bottom, you can see where you can download it. And so that's a big thing about getting these out as well, is because most folks, I think, assume that it's just the app and not the web page. And so a lot of folks do have it on their phones. That's a big reason also that we want to get a lot of these stories out there, is so when folks are out on their phones looking around, seeing what's in their local area, wherever they are, we can see how they're engaging, and we look at those numbers. Those are very important for us for marketing reasons, and kind of just seeing the ways in which folks are engaging with the Kentucky Historical Society, the Historical Markers Program, even if we don't really know it day to day. It's really interesting to see the trends, and definitely during COVID, our usage has gone up. We have a pretty steady usage, but it definitely gets a lot of hype behind it. So thank you, Wendy. Yes, that is what it says. Yeah, it's confusing because I think the icon, it says like KY History, but I know it as Explore KY History. So it's got some different names, but yes, that is it. Yeah, so it's really, it's interesting to build upon these and really get a different type of story. Like, for example, some of these entries, if they coincide with tours that already exist, or it goes with a tour that we are building upon. For example, my intern will be making a veterans tour, focusing on markers that exist within our program about veterans that don't already have entries. So if one of you all, if there's a veterans one on this list, we can add it to that tour. And so folks who are looking just at veterans and they want to see where are all the veterans marker in the state, your entry can be focused on that in that tour as well. So it's not just kind of the one single blog post. We can pull it in different ways for engagement. And I definitely would recommend you guys when you're choosing. I don't think I
think we're good.
Okay, all right. Sorry, yeah, my speakers go weird sometimes, so I just want to make sure. But I would definitely recommend you all, depending on the subject that you choose, looking at the catalog and research tools that the Historical Society has to offer. And I will drop that link as well. We have a lot of online sources, our object catalog, archive catalog that you can pull images from for the accompanying entry. We try and promote that as much as possible because we're like, hey, this is our program, and these are the things we have within our holdings for the public. So it's definitely cool to utilize those as well. And that may even be a good starting point if you're unsure of how to start researching. Go to our catalog and research tool and then kind of go from there. And Brandy has a question. Yes, Brandy.
Okay, so the email list that we received, Pulaski is not on that list whatsoever. But the website that you put in the chat,
yes,
Pulaski is. So can we pull from that website?
Yeah, so this was just a list we pulled together based on entries that we knew were needed. So if you want to do one that's not on that list, if you could just shoot me an email and let me know what that is, just to give you the thumbs up, because we do have a workflow on our end of marker entries that we're currently working on. So just to make sure there's no overlap. If it's not already being worked on that way, you don't waste your time or vice versa. So yeah, if you just want to send me a message if you're interested in doing one that isn't on the list, and we can go from there.
And if you have questions right now about like implementation or, the formatting, anything like that, Shayla, yeah, Estel, same thing. We want to make this something that's doable, feasible for you. These were the ones that were kind of, as Allie said, like high priority in their department. We realized that it may be, some of these may be like a day trip, like a day trip for you on a Saturday. That's why we kind of gave you April 30th. But if you are wanting to do something with your students, we do realize that as well. We want this to be not an add-on, like, for you,
Right.
just solely for you. So if this is something that you're contemplating, like Shayla, you're 8th grade, I can really see you doing something like this with your students hands-on. So if there's something nearby and you're really wanting to get your students in on it, message Allie, and then we'll get that kind of in the works.
But yeah, that list was kind of just a jumping off point, just things that, we pulled from the static database. That way, I didn't lead you guys just blindly and saying, okay, yeah, here's the static database, have fun. Just because some entries in certain counties, they already do have entries. And these on the list are confirmed that we don't have entries for them. I cross-checked and made sure. So, there are some, there are a lot of, like in Jefferson County and Fayette County that definitely have entries written. So that list is just kind of what we came up with, just saying, well, we know these don't have entries, so we can get folks working on these. And if anybody has questions about the guideline sheet, let me know. It's, yeah, again, kind of like a style guide towards the bottom, but of course, it's easier with these Explore KOI history ones because we can do edits and go back and forth and do that. So it kind of gives you a jumping off point kind of for length and what we're looking for. And of course, you're welcome to go onto the Explore KOI history website or the app and look at entries that are already up and kind of use those as examples. We've updated it recently. So there are recent ones. There are some that are better than others. And of course, we're going back in and trying to add more information to those as we go along. But of course, yeah, if you guys have questions about that, feel free to let me know.
And in our best portfolio English teacher vocabulary, I will tell you, go to that website, go and look on the app, use those as your exemplars. You will see some that are distinguished. You will see some that you're like, I will not use that as my model. And I would, if you're doing this with your students, if you're doing this solo, either way, if you're going to do one by yourself and go ahead and submit it, turn it in for payment, that's great. If you're going to do this as a class project or, with a group of students, like this could be for those gifted students that you always finish early and you're like, what in the world am I going to do with them? This is a great project. If you're, regardless of what you're going to do, give them those exemplars, give them that, here's kind of a model, a really good model of what to use. And also have the, here's a good starting point of the database. The Library of Congress, we've talked about using them as, picture sources. And then also I will tell you, you will probably want to stick with us in our SHEG. We're going to talk with SHEG on Thursday, and then we've got two other days where they're going to talk to us about what is a reputable source and what is a good way to check out our sourcing. So you will want to hang with us on those days because that will help you for this project. So
yeah, definitely. And of course, again, if you are researching and have a question about a source, I am not the end all be all of primary sources, but I can point you in the right direction, or I can, speak with somebody on my end, a colleague that could point you in the right direction as well. We have everything from subject matter experts to people that they just have a lot of knowledge in their head. So if I ask, I may be able to get you an answer. So, I can use things on my end as well to get you guys and point you in the right direction as well.
as far as questions, feel free to ask any questions, but you will
Oh.
receive from,
I,
go ahead.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just realized on that guideline sheet, I recently got married, and so my email address has changed. I'm gonna put it, I mean, I think Wendy, you have my updated
Yes.
email, but I'm gonna
Yes.
drop it in the chat box because it's my old information. And I've had so many people that I've worked with in the 2 years I've been at the Historical Society that are calling me saying, I didn't realize you like had left. I'm like, oh, I'm still there. It's just my email address changed, so because I changed my name. So I just dropped it in.
Yes, and I will be sure to put that in the information that I send you all out today. So I will send you our Google form if you're interested in participating.
Mhm.
And that information will go to both Allie and myself. I will send you both documents so that you have our list that we've kind of generated. And then again, feel free to reach out to Allie if you say, hey, I know this is in our area. I see it on another list on, Kentucky history. And I'd like to research this one as well if it's available. We just check with Allie because, we don't want you to, waste time investigating if it's someone's already put in the work on that one and it's just not uploaded or it's not confirmed.
Yeah, because I just want to make sure that everybody is on the same page, just because I do have an intern working and we've been working on stuff internally as well. So yeah, I think it's best to just check and then we can go.
Correct. And we're gonna have like a hard cutoff date on April 30th. And again, I was kind of thinking that would give you all time, before the hustle and bustle of closing out the end of the school year and all of that, so that it hopefully might get you some pretty weather if you did want to go out and actually see the site, and also it's not a super mad rush between now and hopefully if we do have other sessions that will help you as far as sourcing, that would kind of give you some time to put those into practice as well. So I will, we're going to stay on here. Allie's on here for other questions. We wanted to kind of just kick this off with, yes, this is excitement. We wanted to give you time to play with the app. And to kind of generate the hype. I have literally been sitting on this. I told Dr. Evans, it's like one of those things of like, I wanted to share it as soon as we started talking about this. And they were like, hold your horses, hold your horses. Don't share it yet.
Right.
So I've kind of slowly but surely been telling you all, little pieces of it. So now I'm like, you all know what I know.
Yeah, well, I will say too, once we get to that April 30th deadline and we've got everything turned in, I promise I'm very good at keeping my promises. The upload process may take a little bit on my end because I am the only one doing it. So depending on how many entries we get, it may not be the next day that things are getting put up, but I promise they will be. But just wanted to throw that out there because I know myself and I know that website can be a little temperamental sometimes. So, but it'll be in the queue because luckily that cutoff date, it's kind of right before our busy season because we don't do marker dedications or anything. I normally travel a lot with this job, but with COVID, we haven't been doing dedications, but that'll be right before the kind of the warm season and when we get really busy again. So it shouldn't be an issue to work it into the workflow, but I just wanted to put that out there as well. So yeah, if anybody has any questions for me, feel free to either unmute or put them in the chat box. I'm happy to help. And of course, even if you come up with a question after this meeting, feel free to shoot me an email. I am reachable by email always. Mm-hmm. I'm going to drop right now into the chat box the link to our catalog and research tools for folks to use if they are not familiar with our website. We just got a new website done and it can be a little hectic sometimes to find it when you've been finding everything in the same place. So that way it's in the same place.
And those of you that have been with me for a while they are probably a little shocked and dismayed because we never finish early. They know that I can talk with the best of them.
That's
So,
usually how my meetings go.
I
too.
know, I'm like, I
Yeah,
usually,
and if I didn't cover something, please let me know, Wendy. I talk really fast, and I know that I do. So it is one of my professional shortcomings. So
well,
to
listen,
make
I
sure
talk fast as
everything.
well. What I will do though, I'm going to honor your time. I want you all to, I'm super excited. I'm going to roll this all out to you all in one of my notoriously not only long meetings, but one of my notoriously long emails. So look for all of this. Here's the one thing, I will put our session eval in the chat, and they know that usually when that comes, I'm share the research link. Yes, absolutely, Angela. Yes, I will. What I will do is I will share a couple of different links for you as well. Just suggested links. And here's the other thing. If you all, once you start with your research, if you find something that's really like just a great place for research, if you'll send that to me, like this is awesome, the mecca of research. If you all will email that to me, then I can share it out with everyone else as well. So, but I'll send you all a couple of, pretty good reputable sources, like Wikipedia, because Allie said that was great.
I'm like, as much as I love it sometimes, I'm like, I wish
Wikipedia, and then we will have our next meeting on Skype. Where that even came from. So that we've got our session eval in the chat. Make sure you complete that. Look for an email. What I will do is, now this is the important thing. I am only going to send this email out to everyone that fills out a session eval, because I don't want to, flood everyone else's email, kill their email when they're like, I wasn't even in that session, Wendy. So I will send the session or the email regarding everything from today's meeting to everyone that completes a session evaluation. So if you do not get the email from me, it's because you did not complete the session evaluation for today. So make sure you complete that session evaluation like within the next few minutes in order to get the email from me. And if you have any questions, please make sure that you email me.